Hello, today I'm going to talk about death, time and mind concepts in the Little Prince. Firstly, I want to talk about general features of the Little Prince. It's a novella written by Anthony de Saint-Exupéry, a French novelist, and this book, written in French, it's published in 1943 and most famous work of its author. 1,040 million copies are sold around the world, so it's best-selling and most translated books, one of the most translated books. It's translated into 301 languages and dialects. Because of its period, its written period, it is thought that it has war-related elements, such as baobabs represents Nazism, which surround the world and try to distract the world. Actually, it has been adapted into numerous art forms and media, including audio recordings, radio plays, live stage, film, television, and even ballet and opera. Even though it's is seen as a child book, actually it's kind of a criticism to adult world, adults' superficiality. The book critics. In The Little Prince, death, time and mind themes drove attention. Firstly, death theme in Little Prince. It's not clear. Death theme is not clear in Little Prince. When Little Prince decides to go back to his home, he compromises with the snake. A snake will bite him and he will go back to his planet. But it's not explicitly indicated whether Little Prince go back or die. So some readers believe that there is two main idea about this uncertainty. Some readers believe that he went back home, and Julia from Goodreads says about this issue, says like that: I think for him to die would be an insult to the whole book and what it means to be a child. The snake bites him because the prince believes it will help him to get back to his planet. If this element of the world, according to the Little Prince, is false, then what makes any of it meaningful? If he does not get back to his planet as he believed he would, then there was no elephant in the snake. Then the rose was just an ordinary rose, not at all influenced by the prince's love for it. The whole novel is based on the prince's views of the world and how believing in sometimes makes it so. If he dies, he is nothing but a foolish child who was given a harsh slap in the face of the truths of reality. Maybe the Little Prince did not have his own body when he lived on his planet. Imagine that he only existed as a spirit. Perhaps he found a dying child and asked if he could share his body so as to explore Earth. In exchange, he offers the child all the memories of his own childhood, which he also shares with the pilot. Keep in mind, with the driving one, the idea that something is more than what it appears to be. Just like there was an elephant inside the snake, there may be a second child within the prince's body. He is just borrowing his body so as to visit Earth. Therefore, the boy whose body the prince is sharing is dying, but dying a slow and painful death. The prince at the end is ready to go back to his planet, but he realizes he cannot free himself of the boy's body while the boy lives. He gives the boy a quick and more merciful death by allowing the snake to bite him. When this happens, the prince, in his natural spirit form, returns to his planet, and the ill child dies without suffering. Julia thinks like that. But there are some other readers believe, on the contrary, they believe that the prince died because they think that the snake character is traditionally deceitful, and he lied to the prince and bite him and make him and get him to death. Even in Adam and Eve's story, there is a snake depicted, and this snake make Eve to eat the apple. The reason why the pilot did not find his body is because the snake engulfed the prince, just as the elephant in Boaz's belly depicted at the start of the book, for the people who think the prince died. And the time concept. Time setting is different in each planet, and the little prince travel. In each planet, the little prince travel. Firstly, the little prince asteroid. Let's check the time setting in little prince's asteroid. It's asteroid B6070. Its name. It's so tiny that he can watch sunset anytime he wants. One day he watched 44 times one day, and that day he was so sad. He said like that. And in his planet, blossoming of the flower took too much time, and at night time it's getting so cold that the flower asks for a glass, demands a glass to protect herself from the cold at night time. And secondly, the fifth planet, the lamplighter. In this planet, the little prince travel. There is a lamplighter, and his job is turning off when the sun in the mornings, and turn on the light when the night comes. Little prince thinks that the job is wonderful and more meaningful than the other adults' jobs that he met before. But actually the lamplighter's planet is so small and turns so fast that day and night happen in a minute. So there is no rest for lamplighter, and his job is never done. Third planet, the tippler. Let's see the time concept in third planet. The tippler. It's the tippler's planet. He lives outside the time. We can say that because he tells the little prince when they met. He drank a lot because he's ashamed of drinking too much and being drunk. So every time he drinks, he starts to feel ashamed and drinks again to forget this shame about drinking. By doing so, he put himself in a cycle in a way, and he breaks the time concept and lives outside of the time, we can say. He does not know what is time. And this is the image at the right top. Yes, right top is the lamplighter, and the other image is the tippler's image. And the memory and mine in Little Prince. I'm going to talk about this. It's the memory and mine is more about the author's personal life, actually. The two characters, the pilot and the prince, is child and adult versions of the author. It's believed like that. Because it's known that the author himself experienced an aircraft crashing in Sahara Desert while attempting to break speed record, and the start of the book is like the same scenario with this accident. Both pilot and the authors himself experience lack of water during this experience. This real-life experience of author is just like the pilot character's accident in the book's opening. And when it comes to Little Prince character, it's believed to be the childhood of the author. Author's family called him the Sun King in French because he's golden curly hair. He has golden curly hair, just like the prince has as depicted in the book. Also, the relationship between the pilot and the prince is very sentimental. We can think it's like a confrontation of the child and the adult versions of the author. The child is naive and adult is more mature version of him. And other elements may be also reflections from author's real life. For example, the prince's home, asteroid B620. It was likely derived as a progression of one of the planes signed X-Ray Flav as an airmail pilot, which bore the serial number A6020. And the Fox character. During his service as a male pilot in the Sahara, Saint-Exupéry has weaved a fennec, desert sand fox, a real fox, which most likely inspired him to create the Fox character in the book, because he writes in a letter to send his sister. He is talking about raising and petting a fennec that he loved. And the flower rose. It is thought that it represents his wife. Despite a tumultuous marriage, Saint-Exupéry kept Consuelo, his wife's name, close to his heart and portrayed her as the Princess Rose, whom he tenderly protects with a windscreen and places under a glass dome on his tiny planet. Exupéry's infidelity and the doubts of his marriage are symbolized by the vast field of roses the prince encounters during his visit to Earth. And conclusion. In conclusion, the French novella is known as a masterpiece around the world. Death, time, and mind themes drove attention in the book. That theme, the Little Prince death, I mean the Little Prince death when I say death, is not clear, and the author leaves this part to the reader. There are confrontations. Some think that the prince died, while others think that he go back to his hometown by this snake's bite. There are readers who believe that the prince did not die and go back to his home, besides the reader who thought the prince died by the bite of the snake. And time setting in the Little Prince differs in each planet, and even there is a character who lives outside the time I mentioned before. The Tippler drinks too much and forgets the time because he's drunk. When it comes to the mind and memory in Little Prince, it can be said that these themes are more about the author himself and his own real life experiences. Actually, these three themes are their processing in the prints make this book interesting, and what's more, a classic around the world, a masterpiece. And there are my references. Thanks for listening. This was my presentation. Thank you.